Good morning. Okay, so good news is we're doing a lot of the same stuff we did last week, this week, just diving a little deeper on it. So a lot of this should be very familiar to you this week. So one thing I want to get embedded in your head is the difference between a factor and a rate. A factor is the number we use in the equation, and the rate is the percents that adjusted that affected our, the one plus or the one minus, taking it back into the percent form. So, for instance, our factor of this given equation is 1.12, and this has a growth rate of 12% because that's why we got the 0.12, put it back behind the 12, and that's the 12, and that is a growth because that's bigger than 1. Over here, our factor is 0.92, and this has a decay rate of 8%. You've got to know the difference between the two. Become comfortable with that language for this week, and your life will be a lot easier. So what we're doing today and this week, look carefully at this type of question right now. Now you're going to analyze which one makes more sense in terms of now you're going to be using your knowledge of your exponential equations to understand which investment would be wiser. Okay, so this one says Joe invested $8,500 in a bank, and he has these options. He can choose the one that compounds annually at 4.5%. You can choose the one that compounds biannually at 2.75%. You can choose the one that compounds quarterly at 1.75%. As you can clearly see, any Joe off the street sees the bigger number and thinks, oh, this is probably the best. But you got to remember, this only compounds once a year, this compounds twice a year, and this compounds 4 times a year. So this is where we're going to go a little deeper into these concepts. So I've already done the math. I'm going to write these up here, and I just chose an arbitrary number such as 10. All right, so let's just say they all are going to go for a total of 10 years. So if I'm going to do this over a course of 10 years, I just chose this number randomly, okay? And some of your questions in the future are going to be a little more specific. Well, if it's compounding at 1.045 to the power of 10, when I did that on my calculator, I got an answer of $13,200 and some change, okay? I'm just rounding to the nearest dollar. There's that one. And then when I did this one, feel free to pause me, take notes, do what you got to do. I'm taking my initial investment, my $8,500, and I'm going to multiply this 1.0275. Now, if it compounds biannually over, let's just say 10 years, this is a total of 10 years, all right? And I'm just using this number randomly, just for our sake. Over the course of 10 years, in this investment arm, it didn't compound a total of 20 times because it's 2 times the number of years. And when I did this on my calculator, I got an answer of 14,623 and some change. And again, I don't care about the change because this is a big dollar amount. And the last one I did here is I did f of x equals 8,500 times 1.0175. Compounding quarterly. Well, if it compounds quarterly, that means 4 times a year. 4 times a year over the course of 10 years. That means it compounds a total of 40 times. And I got an answer of $17,013 and some change. And again, I don't care about the change. Now, here's what I want you guys to see. The longer you invest something, clearly the more money this is going to make you. Because every year it's drawing interest off of, like, interest means money you're making on the initial investment. So it's compounding on top of the money it's already making. So it's never just compounding on top of this 8,500. It's compounding on top of the 80 in the first year, the 8,500 times the percent. Let's just say that is, a couple $100. Well, the next time that it compounds, now it's drawing off of 80. Let's just say it was $500, just for the sake of argument. Now instead of it compounding off of $8,500, now it's compounding off of $9,000, so on and so forth. That's why that's how these instruments work. So also for this week, pay close attention to. I'm going to be asking you guys questions like, hey, if I invest $8,500 at this percent, want to know how much money I'm going to make. Okay, so you got to go that extra step and just do the $13,200 minus the 8,500, right? So I got 2, I got 12, cancels off, I got $4,700 roughly. Okay, so I'll be asking you guys questions like that. So be aware that when I'm asking you guys how much money was made or profited, key words right there. You got to know to take the difference of the total amount in there minus the initial investment to figure out, oh, at this rate, and I made up that random number. All right. I'm sorry, I didn't make the random. This was an actual over 10 years. This one made you $4,700. I bet you the shorter the term, like maybe in the course of 2 years, this one might make you more money. Okay, it's not always going to be this case, but as you see, the longer you invest it, the more money you're going to make. Back in a second with one more. Okay, so this is a decay situation, and this will be my last example for you guys. This one says the half-life of bromine 88 is approximately 36 hours. Find the amount of bromine 88 left from an 80-gram sample after 6 days. So now there's a couple variables going on, a couple things going on you got to be very careful with. You got to remember, half-life is represented by a factor of 0.5, very simple. But you got to be very careful. Remember now, X, and I wrote all this out for you guys so you guys can see this. So X represents 36-hour intervals, okay? So it says find approximately how much is left. So I got to do some math before I start messing with my equation. First things first, my initial value and my decay factor, all right? And my decay rate is 50%. 6 days. I had to figure out how many hours were in 6 days, and I got 144. And then I take that and I divide that by 36, so I see exactly how many intervals of 36 hours are inside of 144, and that comes out to be an even number of 4. Once I do that, I now know what my X is, all right, and that's to the power of 4. And then when I do my math, I do this to the power of 4 times 80, and I get 5. So make sure you're reading the question a couple times and always ask yourself, what do my letters stand for? I want you guys to focus on making keys, all right? And if I want to make a true key, my f of x in this situation would be the amount of bromine left, okay? I'll see you guys in class again. This whole week is relatively just a repeat of last week with just a few vocabulary words and specifics that I want you guys zeroing in on. I will see you guys in class.